Hey guys, welcome to question MM324 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide. So, in this question, part A is a 3-mark question, and we're asked to sketch a graph of a trigonometric function. Cool, so this function is g of x equals 2 sine of 3x plus 1, and our domain, which is really important in this context, is negative pi to pi. Now we're asked to sketch the graph of the function. Label the axis intercepts with their coordinates and any endpoints. Awesome. So, whenever we're dealing with a trigonometric function and we're wanting to sketch that, we always want to start with the fundamentals, right? So our amplitude, our period, our midpoint, and then you can work out your minimum and maximum values from there, and also just any horizontal translation that happens as well. So, let's work out these three things first. So our amplitude is always our number that's out the front of our trig function, right? So that's a 2. So our amplitude is the distance from the midpoint to the top. Our midpoint is always our vertical translation, which is this bit on the end. So our midpoint is 1, and I'll explain what I mean by midpoint in a second. And our period is worked out by using 2 pi over b, where b is our value in front of x. So our period is 2 pi on 3. Awesome. So now we've got those three things, we can start to kind of sketch our function. So let's deal with the midpoint first, because we're going to need to do this. So our midpoint is how far up or down the graph is moved, okay? So I'm going to make our midpoint here. That's a 1, so that's 0, 1. Now, this is a positive sine graph, which means that we're going to start by going up like this, and then we're going to come down and up again. So what we're going to do first, before we even do that, is work out our intercepts. Okay, so we've found our y-intercept. We know that it's going to pass through 0, 1, because normally it would pass through 0, 0, but because we've moved it up, it passes through 0, 1. Now, we don't have a calculator for this, so this is a bit of a painful question, so apologies. But to figure out our x-intercepts, we're going to need to let y equal 0, as always. So we know that g of x is equal to 2 sine of 3x plus 1. And we know that that has to equal 0. So 0 equals 2 sine 3x plus 1, which means negative 1/2 equals sine of 3x. Right, so I'm just taking that 1 over the other side, then divide both sides by 2. Now, we need to work out our base angle here. So sine of 1/2, or inverse sine of a half, is pi on 6. Right, so our base angle is pi on 6. It's in the negative quadrants, and our angle is 3x as opposed to x. Okay, so we know that x is between negative pi and pi, which means that 3x is between negative 3 pi and 3 pi. Right? This is always the steps you should take when you don't have a calculator for this. So, next thing is to figure out all of the spots that we have a base angle of pi on 6 in the negative quadrants between negative 3 pi and 3 pi. So, let's check out our unit circle. Now, base angle is pi on 6, domain is negative 3 pi to 3 pi. So negative 3 pi is here. And then we're going to go around like this to get back to 0, and then around to 3 pi again, okay? So sine is negative in this quadrant and this quadrant, okay? So what we're going to get for our angles, I'm just going to write them up here as we go. So we know that our base angle is pi on 6. And we know that our angles have to be in these two quadrants. So this is negative 3 pi. So what we're going to do is go around from negative 3 pi to 3 pi, and we're going to catch all the angles from there, right? So what we're going to get is negative 3 pi plus pi on 6. So that's pi on 6 there. So negative 3 pi plus pi on 6, which is negative 17 pi on 6. Then around again, this is also pi on 6, because that's our base angle, and then we get negative 2 pi plus pi on 6, which is negative 13 pi on 6. Then we keep going around, and we get to negative pi, and then we're going negative pi minus pi on 6, which gives us negative 5 pi on 6. Go around again, and we get 0 minus pi on 6, which is negative pi on 6. Keep going around, now we're coming back to pi, so we're going to pi, and then pi plus pi on 6 is 7 pi on 6. Round again, we get 2 pi minus pi on 6, which is 11 pi on 6. And then we go around again and we eventually hit 3 pi, which is the end of our domain for 3x. So these are all our values for 3x, but we don't want 3x, we want x, right? Because we want to find out where our x-intercepts are, which means that we need to divide all of these values by 3. So we get negative 17 pi on 18, negative 13 pi on 18, negative 5 pi on 18, negative pi on 18, 7 pi on 18, and 11 pi on 18. Awesome. So these are our x-intercepts right here. We've got our amplitude, period, midpoint, and our x-intercepts. And the last thing to do would be to figure out our endpoints, okay? So, actually, no, let's do that after. So we know that it starts at 0, 1. I'm just going to do the positive version first, and then we can deal with our negative version on this side. So we know that it's going to come up first like this because it's a positive sign. Then it's going to come, and remember our period is 2 pi on 3, right? So 2/3 of this. So this is pi on 3, 2 pi on 3. So it's going to come back up to this point at 1, yeah? So we come, that's probably even a bit far. So we come up like this. That was horrible, but you get the idea. And then we need to get to pi, which is another half period, right? So we're going to come up again and down to pi. So this is our endpoint here at pi. And because it's another 1/2 period, we know that it's going to be at the same level as that, so we're going to have a 1 there. Awesome. And we're going to do the same on this side. So this is going to come negative 2 pi on 3. Do it a bit lower. Negative 2 pi on 3. Negative pi on 3. And it's going to come back up to this point here, which means we go something like this. Like that. Awesome. So it's going to be negative pi 1. And all of these intercepts, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are intercepts there. So we've got our negative 17 pi on 18, 0. I'm just going to get rid of these. This is negative 13 pi on 18. Negative 5 pi on 18, 0, 0. This one here is negative pi on 18, 0. 7 pi on 18, 0. And 11 pi on 18, 0. Guys, that's it. I know this is a very annoying question, and I wouldn't be surprised if you skipped it, but that's how to do it. So you just really need to make sure that your x-intercepts are correct. This is a 3-mark question. All of your marks come from just all this working and this graph. As always with graphs, they pretty much give you all the marks to begin with, and then you have to make sure you don't make any mistakes, otherwise they'll take marks off. So 1, 2, 3, all 3 marks there. Let's move on to part B. So part B is also a 3-mark question, and what we need to do is find the area enclosed by the graph of G, the x-axis, and the lines x equals pi on 3 and x equals pi on 2. Awesome. So first things first is, because we've already drawn the graph, we're going to be able to look at it and see where this area is actually going to need to be calculated from, right? So we know that it's going from pi on 3 to pi on 2. 7 pi on 18 is slightly more than pi on 3, which means pi on 3 is going to be somewhere here. And then pi on 2 is 9 pi on 18, which means that the other area is going to be somewhere here, okay? So we're looking for this area here. Now, what we notice about this straight away when we write it like this is that it crosses over the axis, which means we're going to have to do our calculations a little bit differently. So what we're actually going to need to do is break this up into 2 areas and calculate them separately. So what we're going to say is that our area is equal to, from pi on 3, which is here, that's pi on 2 there. So from pi on 3 to 7 pi on 18, right? Because that's where our graph crosses over the axis. So 2 sine of 3x plus 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to need to calculate this area here. So this area is under the x-axis, which means we're going to get a negative area for that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to take away this value, because then that's going to end up adding it, because we're taking away a negative. So we're doing that from 7 pi on 18 up to pi on 2. 2 sine of 3x plus 1. Awesome. So now we can deal with our stuff that's going on here. I'm just going to, actually no I'm not, I won't do that. So now we can evaluate this. We don't have a calculator, so we have to do this by hand. And let's evaluate this integral. So what we get is negative 2 on 3 cos of 3x, right? So we change it to a negative cos and put this value under our 2. And then we get, I'm just going to get rid of that, 7 pi on 18. Awesome. Plus 1, so a 1 integrates to an x from pi on 3 to 7 pi on 18. Cool. And then we get a minus, same again, so negative 2 on 3 cos of 3x plus x from 7 pi on 18 to pi on 2. Fantastic. So that's our first mark there. Okay, so recognizing that and figuring that out is our first mark. And then what we're going to do is actually evaluate this. All right, so this is going to be quite long, and I'll try and make it as easy to read as possible. So we're going to sub our values in now. So what we get is negative 2 on 3 cos. 3 times 7 pi on 18 is 7 pi on 6 plus 7 pi on 18. Minus, so we're still doing this part here. So minus negative 2 on 3 cos of 3 times pi on 3 is just pi. And then we have plus pi on 3. Awesome. So that's this bit here. And then we're minusing this integral here. So negative 2 on 3 cos of 3 times pi on 2 is 3 pi on 2. Plus pi on 2. Then we're going to go minus negative 2 on 3 cos of 3 times 7 pi on 18, which is 7 pi on 6, plus 7 pi on 18. Cool. So I know there's a lot to take in there. If you're not too sure what's going on, just please pause the video, have a look at what's going on, and then see if you can kind of follow along with it. So then from here, we can evaluate all these trig ratios. So we get negative 2 on 3. Cos of 7 pi on 6 is negative root 3 on 2. If you're not too sure about this, just go back over and revise your unit circle. There's a whole bunch of trig videos that I've done in the between MM100 and MM150, which will explain a whole bunch of this stuff. So we got 7 pi on 18, and then what we get is plus, so this negative and the negative become a plus, so plus 2 on 3, cos of pi is negative 1, and then we get minus pi on 3, and then we get, where am I, plus 2 on 3, cos of 3 pi on 2 is 0, and then minus pi on 2, minus 2 on 3, 2 on 3, cos of 7 pi on 6 is negative root 3 on 2, plus 7 pi on 18. Awesome. Now these negatives all cancel, this is all correct. Just, yeah, really make sure that you get your negatives right, because that can be really difficult. That's your second mark. Then what we do is we just kind of merge all of this together. So take all our like terms, put them together, and see what we come out with. So we end up with root 3 on 3, plus 7 pi on 18, take 2 on 3, take pi on 3, take pi on 2, plus root 3 on 3, plus 7 pi on 18. And this all simplifies to 2 root 3 on 3, minus pi on 18, minus 2 on 3. Units squared. I know this is a really painful question. It would be extremely annoying to do this. So just do your best with it, see what you can do. But our final answer is area equals 2 root 3 on 3 minus pi on 18 minus 2 on 3 units squared. And that's our third and final mark. Guys, if you have any questions about this, please hit me up in the comments below. But as always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.